today. But for those of you the first time joining us, this is the next generation evolution iteration of the Sales Copywriting and Content Marketing Hacks podcast, which was hard to say, and the Jim and Stu show, which got a little crowded in our hour. So now we are doing the Copy and Content AI report. And interestingly enough, today we have a really cool way that we're going to be doing the episode. And that is, I'm going to turn the reins over to Mr. Stu Smith, who, as all of you should know, is a former Navy SEAL officer. And he also is the guy that trains all the guys coming out of the U.S. Naval Academy, has done for several decades now, getting ready to send them to special operations. So he knows how to do a real breakdown of an event, of an operation. And so yesterday we did the 2-hour avatar challenge. The first iteration of that we did for our CopyandContent.AI members. And it went well, but we think we can do better. And we want to do it again next week. And we're going to open it up for anybody who is using an avatar on any of the different platforms that we have, whether that's CopyandContent.AI, funnel scripts, traffic secret scripts, author wizards, fill my webinar scripts, anywhere that we have software, what you have the opportunity to use an avatar. And so that's what we're going to do in this episode. So you're going to learn by paying attention. And by the way, give us a shout out if you were on that challenge yesterday, if you enjoyed it, and if you're looking forward to doing it again next week with the changes that we make. But anyway, what you're going to learn from this is what we learned, what we're going to do differently, how we managed a 2-hour challenge, and then you're also going to learn a format for analyzing something afterwards from somebody who knows how to do that when it's life and death, as opposed to just, hey, how'd it go? So lots of great learning, lots of good stuff coming today. So Stu, I'm going to give you the reins. And one last thing I'm going to say is that, as you know, I have a tendency to run my mouth. I'm pretty good at it. Made a lot of money over the years running my mouth, so it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I do have a tendency to interrupt. But I just want to acknowledge that this is Stu's show to run today. So if I run my mouth, Stu, you tell me to be quiet.
That is my plan. I have no problem doing that, Jim. Okay, so let me just give you a little context first about what this is. Back in my day, and when I say that, I really mean this was a long time ago. I've been out of the Navy for over 20 years. But, you learn a few things along the way, and the way we would share that knowledge with other groups within the SEAL teams, different teams and different platoons and things like that, is we had a system called JULES, and that stood for Joint Universal Lessons Learned, which, back in the 90s, when you had anything that was somewhat computerized, that was something special, right? Because this was early to mid 90s when we were using this thing. And what it was no matter what training exercise that was occurring, it was put into the system so that other people who may be new to that particular exercise or new to that particular mission set can have a list of lessons learned from people who have been there, done that. So with that information in mind, what I'm going to do is kind of break down how we would summarize the after action of a particular mission. And by doing that, you kind of have to know the phases of a mission. So particular missions are going to have, no matter what mission that is, whether you're going in to take out bin Laden or you're just going over the beach and looking for something suspicious of a place where you aren't supposed to be. And the first thing is that you have to have is an insertion part of the plan. How are you going to get from where you are now to that location. Then the second part of that phase is called the infiltration phase. Is basically what that means is just a little more detail of once you're in that region, how are you going to get to the target in that? Because it's going to be a little bit different because you have a whole different group of situations that can occur when you are in, say, enemy territory. And then third is the actions on the objective. Once you're on the target, what are you doing? And then 4 and 5 are kind of like 1 and 2 in reverse. Your exfiltration, how are you getting out of that country? And 5 is how are you getting back home? Right. So sometimes 1 and 2 and 4 and 5 kind of blend into each other, depending on how you're getting in, say helicopter or whatever. But that is a typical 5-phase mission planning.
Can I ask
Now,
real quick? Can I ask real
yes.
quick? Insertion, infiltration, actions on objective, exfil. What's the name for the fifth one?
Oh, extraction.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is parallel that to kind of an after action report of how the 2-hour avatar challenge went and see if there's any new suggestions for future shows, future challenges, and better performance amongst everybody in the team, for instance. That's really why you want to do an after action report or a discussion, so to speak, no matter what you do. It's just going to make it better. Okay, so how do we parallel this, Jim? Let's try this. Let's try to make the insertion method, we'll call this kind of the pre-planning phase of the show. Okay, what all went into the pre-planning of the show? First of all, I remember when you called me and said, "Hey, I got a great idea. We're going to make it a 2-hour genie avatar challenge. That's what we're going to do." So from that moment, when you said, "Hey, this is what we're going to do," what happened? And did you see anything in that planning that didn't go as planned? Whether that is time it took, equipment needed, equipment updates, and just to-do lists and procedures that might have been good and bad. So let's talk about both ends of that spectrum as well. So
Okay. So
opening up to the team at this point.
I'll do an initial thing on that, and then we'll open it up to anybody else on the team that wants to kick in. Number one, you assume there was pre-planning. Now, I say that tongue in cheek, but sometimes I do things by the seat of my pants. I know that none of you at home ever see that, but sometimes it is just drop me in, like the old thing, drop me anywhere in the country, and in 72 hours, I'll own a piece of real estate, even though I don't know anybody, and that kind of a thing. But from the pre-planning phase, the gist of what I did was think through what we wanted to do and maybe, I don't know if it helps, whoever's talking, we'll just bring them up like this so people can see. Thought it through, knew what I wanted as far as to help. The objective was to help people to define their avatar, because the more people we can get to define their avatars, the better they're able to use our software, whatever software it is, but especially CopyandContent.AI. So I thought through in my mind, how could I help people do it and do it the fastest? What are the issues that they've had in the past? That led us to really focus in on the Avatar Junior instead of the full avatar profile, because that helps you to get a result quicker. You can see the concrete example. And then I kind of, in my mind, went to fashion it after the workshops that we do every Thursday. And in my mind, it was like, okay, we'll do like 3 workshops in a row. That was the extent of my planning of it. Though anyway, there you go. And then I got all jazzed up about it, called everybody. chose a date and we started doing it. So that's me. Susan, you got anything to? I don't know, how do we pass the rock on this, Stu? What, how do
Well,
we engage the
how
team?
about this? I'll kind of facilitate it a little bit. Um, how about the 2 hour part of this challenge? Did we find that to be enough time or not enough time? Or it was too much? Where are we on that spectrum?
Susan, because
I
you
mean,
were managing the desk while we were doing it.
right. Well, manage the chat.
Yeah, and
The
Nancy too.
the 2 hours I think was good because of the fact that it kept everything concise and to a point. The time that we gave them to actually work on their individual avatars could be like 5 minutes longer. I think we gave them 15 minutes, 12 minutes, maybe
12
7 minutes
minutes.
longer. Make it like 20.
Okay.
And then also to have a little bit of, with the product detective avatar, having that pre-work of finding that product that your avatar would buy, having that knowledge already would be helpful. And then also just going ahead and releasing the link at the time that you start working on it. And if certain people need help, they can watch you demo it. Others who have figured it out can run off to the races.
Okay. And you know what? That made me think of something that we could just tell them, look, if you want to go off to the races, mute me right now. Just mute it and you think of it in real time. I mean, that would be a cool thing to tell them. Okay.
Or at least set a timer for X amount of time so that way it goes off and you realize that to come back, since you're going to mute me, we might be like moving on and you don't want to miss that.
Stu, can I ask a question as well too?
Oh, of course.
So with that 2 hours, was 2 hours enough, or we did 2.5 hours? Is that too long?
Oh, I don't know. This is just something that for future shows we need to have a better understanding of. Are we within that time limit? Are we asking people really to go 2.5 hours or 3 hours, or can we figure out a way to make it less than 2?
I think that so we discussed having, Sarah create a worksheet, having that roadmap ahead of the class so that people not only have the links to the items that we're going to be using in one spot that they know is clickable, because not everyone is reading along with the chat and actually saw that we were providing the links to them in the chat and they were hitting the help desk, which can be a little frustrating when you're trying to catch up to something that you don't know that you already have access to. But having that pre-work done the roadmap done to the challenge, I think, is going to be a game changer for some folks as well, and be easier to follow along. So if they are comfortable working ahead, they can do that.
And do you think, Nancy, it would help if I was teaching from that map? So
I
it's
do, because it would guide you and keep you on course and not distracted with other cool tools that may take you down another road, because we have so many. Just saying.
like what happened? Okay.
Now tell me this, as when we were obviously doing this in the military, each one of these phases had pre-planned contingencies. Like if something went wrong, how did we react to make it seamless? So I'm going to ask you guys as a team, especially Susan and Nancy, when you saw things occurring, how did you guys handle those things on the fly that weren't part of any of the planning whatsoever?
But we started releasing the links earlier. So like the one word detective avatar wizard, we went ahead and released that the minute the gym started showing it, instead of waiting for it to drop when he's like, oh, now you have your time to do this. And that way, and then people kept asking for the links and we just kept putting them back into the chat, hoping that they would see them.
Or answering them in the desk when they were sending tickets to the desk asking, hey, why can't I answer this? I can't move forward with the challenge if I can't actually access this genie. So
Got it. I saw you guys communicating with each other in the comment section about that during the show. And I thought that was really good, because you're not going to be able to move with the flow if we're not communicating. So the fact that you were also putting in the comments section about, hey, I'm sending people the links because of XYZ. So yeah, I thought that you handled that contingency really well, especially having not planned for it ahead of time.
Well, that makes me think we need to plan for the next one, because every once in a while the AI genies have a hiccup, and that could happen to us on a future one. We need to plan for that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tell them come back tomorrow.
Yeah, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with whenever we prepare for the next 2-hour challenge, is to actually have a contingency, just an idea for a contingency. If something like that happens, and that can go from a software glitch to a timing issue to equipment failure.
And your comment about the PDF, that is what we were talking about with the roadmap that we're going to have one of our team members make, so that it's a little bit more organized for you guys. It's just a clickable link that you can use those links. So
yeah, and she started on it. We just need to do some editing to it.
Yeah.
So with that pre-meeting, would we also go over saying, okay, we're going to release the links somewhere in the show? So whether it's Stu or myself or anyone else who's out there with Jim, if he doesn't say, hey, look in the link or the comments, then we all know, okay, everybody direct them to click the links if the links aren't already live.
Yeah, I think what we're saying is we're going to take it beyond that, and we're going to have a roadmap that has clickable links on it. I'll be teaching from the PDF that they all have in their possession. So everybody's going to have the links before the thing even happens. I think that's the best thing. Like
I probably also should stick the links on where the live stream is happening too, so that way it'll be there
on that page, on the page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did do that with the replay last night, which had been my plan all along.
Yeah. But having it in the clickable PDF, having it there in the page, so anywhere that someone, if you're going to be in the challenge, you're going to come across these links in one way or another, so that you're not, having to meet the frustration of waiting on someone in the help desk. I mean, I'm always checking the desk as we're doing these lives, just in case there is someone that's going there for help. But, if one of us gets sidetracked and, your ticket doesn't get seen right away, you don't have to wait.
What I can do is tell them right at the beginning, like okay, just scroll down the page. There are the links. I'm teaching from this. You have this and there's a link to this as well.
Yeah. Before we get started, locate these links.
Right. So we do
Open
like
them in a browser.
we do like a pre-show get ready thing, like a pre-show get ready for them. It's kind of like if you've ever been at a TV show where they coach the audience on how, hey, when it says applause up there, y'all go nuts. Okay, get them all worked up. I mean, literally tell them, here's the stuff, here's the things down here, here's how the thing's going to work. We could literally tell them that. And one thing I wrote here was, if we had an equipment failure, if we had an issue with the genies hiccuping, we can have demo videos ready. We could have
that's what Vicky just said. She said we had a pre-recorded demo ready just in case. I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah. Okay. So I think have we addressed phase one pretty well, Stu? Because I think we could spend a lot of time on phase one, but I want to make it through all the phases.
Yes, phase 2 is going to be pretty simple.
Okay.
And then we'll really focus on phase 3 as well. But I thought phase 1 was very important because it is just one of those things that requires you to just think a little bit clearer about potential pitfalls that occur.
Okay. And by the way, your audio is good, but
you're frozen in thought.
You're frozen in thought there, Stu.
Yes, I see that. And I have since moved my hand from my chin.
I know. Like Rodin's The Thinker.
I thought that was just me. I said, man,
Right.
my connection is jacked up. I'm frozen.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what I should do with that. But all right, so let's do this. Let's go into phase 2, and we'll make phase 2 be the beginning of the show and how the show was set up. Right.
Okay.
So, for instance, I'm going to ask a question here, and I want just some thought about the answer, other than, trying to make this not emotional, right?
Okay.
Because we all have emotions in some of these things that we do. And so trying to make this an unemotional thought process.
Okay.
So the beginning of the show started and Jim takes over. He does the introduction. He introduces what we're going to be doing. And he's going to have me on there for a section and Dexter on there for a section.
Mm-hmm.
Why were we in this show, Dexter and me?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Okay, because
And I know we're part of the team and that is just the way it goes, but I wasn't sure if it was more or less just to kind of give you a break and to ask specific questions to someone, or were we really providing a whole lot of answers?
So my thought process on why I wanted to have you guys there was to act as a proxy for the audience. Because one of the things that I hear from people all the time is, oh, this is easy for you, Jim, because you made the software and you just know what you're doing, and it just always works perfectly for you, but it never works perfectly for me. And so by having you guys on there, and also by doing topics that were not like typical, like discount cruise or dog tricks or stuff like that, that defeats kind of the people that want to say, oh, you ever do is business topics, or I'm not in real estate, or the ones that I go to. So that's why. And it also, and if you look at it, it threw in some wrinkles, and it showed some stuff. So that was why. That was the thought process.
Yeah, I wasn't saying one way or another. I was just curious if that is going to be a standard part of the show. Part of that 2-hour challenge. Is it something that we need to do every time?
Well, I think it is a way to introduce the attractive characters that are part of the team, so that people don't show up and say, wow, who's Stu, who's Dexter?
Yeah.
Especially when we start going out to people who don't necessarily, who aren't part of Copy and Content. But also it's to have the opportunity to have it not just be me, because I made the stuff. I know how to make it work. Like I'll bypass the little nuances and stuff like that and minimize and other things. But by doing it with you two guys, or even with Susan or Nancy, as opposed to just bringing in somebody to be a volunteer from the audience, which, oh dear God in heaven, what would happen
Yeah,
with
that's
that?
difficult. Yeah.
Because you don't know what's going to happen. So I think the next level would be to do actual customers. So I could bring in, a Vicky, I could bring in a Carlin, a C Ray, the people that I know what to do. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, I
So,
got you. So what
okay.
did you think, Dexter? What did you think of your involvement
I
in
think
the show?
anytime that, and I think that was a great question, Stu. I mean, I'm really enjoying the process of how you're doing this. It's fantastic. I think that, of course, there are areas where I see I can grow as well too, because the ultimate goal is to make this run smoothly. But it's like Jim says, sometimes it can bring things out that he might overlook, but the average person looking through my lenses, I can pull out. Like yesterday, when we went through that cruise example, it brought to mind, man, you know what? Jim has told us before that we're working in reverse, because most people come up with the product and then we try to pitch it to sell to the public, hoping they buy it. But yesterday, when we did the cruise ship discount and for you, the dog tricks, we didn't have a product. We just had an audience of people that we know are going to buy stuff. And then we created the product. We backed into it. And I could see how people would buy our product faster by doing it that way, because we went to the audience first before we created a product. And many of us overlook that. And that could be a huge nugget for people to move forward when they create things.
Yes. Yeah, I like that too, Dexter. How about on the back end? As the show was going, Nancy, Susan, did you guys find? And I know we kind of talked a little bit about this in the first phase because you guys reacted very well to some situations that were a problem. But any equipment issues or anything else for that matter?
The only real I wouldn't say that there was equipment issues. We do have some folks that have multiple emails that are registered on our sites. So if one thing that I could urge to, folks that are having a hard time getting access to the lives or to any of the training is to make sure that you're logged in with the correct email address. We have some people that have 3 email addresses registered with the system that were commenting. We had one particularly yesterday that I know she's got 2. So if you find that you're having trouble accessing anything, please reach out to us in the help desk. We can merge your accounts. We can move your projects to your preferred email address, just so that it's easier for you to get access to things. That was the only real troubleshooting on my part yesterday. So.
And the time to do that is not during an event. The time to do that is when
You're
you
right,
do it
but
through
when
the
you're
help desk and stuff. I understand.
already in the event, it's frustrating when you can't get to stuff. So I totally understand the frustration. It's just making sure that you're using the correct login information is pertinent.
Susan, you got anything? Okay.
No.
Yep.
All right, Stu.
How about
Man.
you, Jim?
Who, me?
Yeah. How
What
about
was
you
the
as far
question?
as the introduction part of the show?
I think with us incorporating a little bit more pre-work, like a little pre-thing, like if instead of me doing the 5-minute thing, half pregnant, what's an avatar, why is an avatar important? If we just say, if we make the what and why of the avatar, if we make the what and why of the avatar part of the pre-work, then I think we just dive in. It's like, and again, we say pre-work. Dexter said something about it this morning when we were talking. He was like, don't call it pre-work, don't call it work. Your fun pre-event activities or something like that. But I think if we just made that so they understood why and how, then we can just dive right in and we start building momentum right from the beginning, as opposed to, but maybe I could be wrong. Maybe do we need to just kind of have that soft takeoff of, hey, just as a reminder, here's why we're here, type thing.
And can I inject as well too? And it's a good question to throw out there. I always felt that if you say pre-work, for some people are going to jump on it and be excited about it. But then there's going to be a few people that could actually back away from it and say, well, I'm not going to go to the training because I didn't do the work that's involved, versus us saying optional or suggested work that's involved, because those that are going to be serious are going to step forth and they're going to take the action. But for those that don't, I don't want to discount them not to just show up at all just because they didn't do the work.
Right. So suggested pre-event orientation.
Yeah,
I'll work on that.
Feels like that needs to go out in the email when they sign. Well, that's the
Oh,
problem.
yeah.
Is not everybody gets the emails, or they get the email, but they don't see it until after the fact.
That's okay.
So, but we've also posted in the Facebook group, which is what we did yesterday too, with announcing, hey, this is happening at 2:00.
Yeah. Ooh, Vicky said something. Jumpstart. Pre-event jumpstart. I like that a lot. Pre-event jumpstart. That's good stuff right there.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like that a
Paul
lot.
put pre-game workout.
Pre-event. Pre-event jumpstart. I like that. That's what we're calling. We won't give Vicky any credit beyond today, but by golly, no, I'm just playing. All right, cool. So I think that's good. Do we want to move on to next phase?
Yep. Let's move on to phase 3, which is the actions on the objective, which I think we should parallel that as being the people who are watching this are actually doing what you just taught them.
Okay.
Right. So that 12 minutes that we've already said should be 20 minutes.
Yes.
Right. How can we make that better? And I guess I'm asking the people who were on the show yesterday, how can we make that better? But also on the back end, you saw where the frustration was with it. And first of all, the first question is, one, how can we make that better? And two, was it an equipment issue or a communication issue? And three, is there a contingency that we could have that is going to make that an easier process?
Okay, I'm a little confused, but
okay, first of all, we figured out it was probably needed a little more time.
yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it was it might have been a communication error between us and the viewers with how to actually access that all the links.
Yes.
Right. I mean, like we're kind of rehashing some things because
no, that's good.
we figured in pre-planning these were some of the issues that were occurring. So what I'm really trying to do now is just nail down some of those specifics and just figure out a contingency plan for them if they happen in the future, or maybe change the procedures so we won't have them in the next show.
So I've got some thoughts and stuff, but I don't want to go first. Susan, you want to go? Just
I can.
okay.
I guess some of the things. This one ended up being a lot. Some of these were not created until like a couple of days ago, so they weren't on the dashboards yet. So as everything was going on, I was trying to get them on the dashboards. So I think maybe having had that up sooner, if I'd had a chance, would be better. But now in the future, when we do this challenge, they're there. So that's taken care of.
Okay. Yes.
So how about anybody that's in the audience today? Did they feel like, one, they had enough time? Did they feel like they were adequately introduced to them, to the genies? Because I have found sometimes it takes a little bit of hunt and peck time to actually get the right answers I'm looking for in some of the genies and wizards. That I think, even though I use the genies and wizards all the time, I probably would have needed more time than 12 minutes.
Right. And if you talk about just what's going on right there during the event, as we were doing it, I was like, oh my goodness. See? Huh? Thanks, Dex. Oh my goodness. 12 minutes probably is not going to be sufficient. So how am I going to react to this? Well,
Yeah.
I'm just going to learn for the future. That's how I'm going to react.
So there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
The other thing is, we promised 3 ways. I'm going to show you 3 ways. All right. But I think we would have been just as well off demonstrating 2 ways and then touching on the 3rd way, because I was even, after we did the product specific, and then we did the topic one, I'm like, dude, this is enough. Even when we started using the other one, it was like, hey, I want to go back to that other one. And I think also switching the order, doing the topic one first and then doing the product specific one, I think would have been much better as well. And then giving everybody 20 minutes. Other thing that I saw was I needed to explain the mechanics of the process better. I just jumped in, started using it, flipped over to the other tab. I'm copying and pasting, and we're just doing it. So again, this could be part of the pre-work, but also, explain in the pre-work, okay, when we're doing this, here's how you can do it. You can either do a split screen, or you can do a switch back and forth between the tabs. Then I could do a reminder at the beginning of doing the thing, you know, hey, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be getting the answers. My objective is to fill out this avatar junior. I'm going to be using this other genie to help me come up with the data to put into this. I'm going to simply be doing a copy and paste. As we go through the process, we're going to be identifying the first one, you know, the one that makes the most sense. We can always do more, and we can save all of these answers. That's all stuff that if I just said that at the beginning,
Yeah, that's good.
it would have helped a lot, but I didn't. But that's okay. I might remember to do it next time.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's good.
but I think that would have helped a lot if people had understood what I was doing. That would have helped a lot. Anybody else want to contribute?
Yeah, I think almost calling what you just said right there, when you're teaching that hands-on challenge, treat it like your call to action, right? That is your call to action, right? And make it a really easy bop, bop, bop. This is the to-do list, the procedure. This is what you have to do. You know, that is how you don't want to have a big gray area with your call to action, for instance.
Right. They need to know exactly where they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to be doing at all times, and feel confident that they can do it.
Yes.
I do think that there should be, and I don't know how best to do that, but have some flexibility, because Jim does function better while we work within parameters, giving him some flexibility that if he does go off script a little bit, he can circle back in, because some great creative stuff comes out of that when he's showing and flowing in his gift.
Oh, absolutely. I think, Dexter, for you and me, our job is to throw Jim softballs, right? And he just hits them out of the park. And whether it's a guided tangent, or it's, you know, something specifically related to a problem we're having. Yeah, I think I personally think that's where you and I can be very useful.
I agree. One thing that somebody just said, and that we could make part of the pre-work stuff too, is not only, you know, the mechanic stuff, but one of the things that we can also include in that is, and I don't have it on, I don't know where I have it on here, but basically in the pre-work, we give them the specific mechanics videos to watch. Like watch these 3 videos, each one's a minute long, and this will really help you understand what's going on. Like, make sure you know how to save, make sure you know how to start a new project, make sure you know how to, you know, copy and paste, how to hit the build button, what a
How
genie
to
button
have
does.
more tabs open on your computer or your screen if you only have one screen.
Right.
Yeah.
So we can have basic mechanics videos.
We do have the basic mechanics videos in there. I mean,
I know. I'm just saying, identify them, like give them the list. Watch
Yeah.
these. These are the ones. Yeah, we've already got them done. Let's just point them
Right.
to them, have them watch them. Yeah.
I think also, you know, as our actions on the objective here, as teachers, we also need to know the level of experience people who are listening have with the genies, because sometimes we teach genies and wizards the way I currently use them now, right? But as a beginner, I was like, whoa, 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 slow down. What is this? You know, so I think if we're doing 2-hour challenges, you know, if it'd be almost like me as a fitness writer, you know, giving a beginner like a Navy SEAL fitness workout, right? It's just I think there should be certain level of stages and experience involved in some of these challenges. And depending on that person's experience, we can have that answer as part of a different procedure that they can do as some pre-game homework.
I agree. Yeah. And we don't want to load them up too much with the pregame. And I apologize for not acknowledging who said it, but the comments are going by, you know, like they do on Facebook. But one of the things that we could do is kind of organize it so yes, it's a 2-hour challenge, but maybe there's 30 minutes of Q&A at the end. You know, so I mean, it's 2.5 hours if you want to stick around for the Q&A kind of thing. It's gonna depend on the challenge too. Others that we do, 2 hours is going to be plenty.
Yes.
So it's just gonna, we also got to be flexible enough not to say, you know, we only do it this way on this kind of thing.
It almost
Okay.
feels like we need a survey, somehow a survey at the front that says, what do you know about X? And then they end up going to the points they need to be at.
I could see that. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right. I think we beat, let's not, I don't want to, let's go on to stage 4, phase 4.
Yeah, stage 4 is, you know, I guess we're kind of using this one as, you know, almost wrapping things up a little bit, you know, post teaching section. How was it once everybody finished their projects? Did you have a lot of feedback as to success or failure of that 12-minute to do option for the viewers?
So put that into kind of a, put that into a rephrase that, because I'm not sure what you want to know.
Well, I was just curious.
Did anybody do it?
Yeah, that is one. But 2, was it a success for them? Was it a failure for them? Was it just I'm just curious what, you know, you noticed after, whenever everybody came back and were teaching. What were some of the combat? Yeah, well, probably Susan Nancy probably heard more of the feedback than you did while you were doing the show. But where were you at, you know, as far as, you know, on that level of feedback, Susan or Nancy? Did you guys, what or was it your level of feedback only the negative because people are contacting you because they can't get it done? Or Jim, did you understand that people were crushing it and it worked pretty well? So where are we on that post training section?
I saw mixed, not mixed. I'm not going to say mixed because that sounds negative. I mean, the feedback that I did see was very positive. People were excited about the things that they learned, and they found new ways to create more avatars. But there were, you know, questions, of course, but I didn't see any overwhelming negative feedback, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I'm just curious, you know, if things went well, or people, like I said, needed more time or didn't quite understand the challenge.
I think with a lot of these challenges, we have such a diverse group of customers as far as their availability. So while we may have 65 to 100 people live, the bulk of the watching for us is going to happen after on the replays. So I think that we'll continue to receive feedback on those as more people are able to watch it.
And I think we can tee it up as well too while we are live, of saying, hey, you know what, this, for some of you, you might not be able to complete it all. That's okay. We're giving you a great starting point to keep moving along, because my wife went through this as well too. And it was interesting because she was excited as she was going through it with Jim, but she was not able to finish. But this morning, one of the first things she jumped back on was finishing up the avatars, dialing them in and things of that nature. So if we tell the people, give them permission, look, you might not be able to finish this. It's okay. Continue to work on it until you do finish it.
I think too, where we started was another part of that as well. I think starting with the product avatar detective, Genie was a more involved process than the one word detective Genie. I think that one was, because everybody knew their topic, they could just and go.
I agree 100%. And I think if that's part of the pre-work, that'll hey, look at you, like the producer of the show, Susan, like flipping that thing back and forth. I agree. I mean, that, you know, having that pre-work done, then people are going to have the confidence. I mean, even if we tell them, hey, look, grab you know, grab some of the copy, grab the description, throw it in here, try and keep it around, you know, this level. You know, I agree. One thing to answer your question, though, Stu, it made me think, you know, we did not purposely build in any type of a feedback mechanism into that stage. Like, hey, kids, how's it going? Do you have your finger painting project done? Hey, who's done? Hold up your hand turkey that we're making to take home to mom and dad on Thanksgiving. Won't it be great when this is on the refrigerator? I mean, there was nothing like that built in. Honestly, until this moment, never thought about doing something like that on purpose. Never did, but it makes perfect sense. How are we going to know if they have been able to do this successfully, or at least, and what I have found is that you got to think 10, 80, 10. 10% of the people, when you're doing anything, are going to rush ahead and be like, hey, I'm done. Are we done? 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 What's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? You got 80% of the people that if you train them right, they will make it to the end if the time frame is reasonable and the instruction is good. And then you got the 10% that are just going to need to have some extra time. And just what Dexter said, give them permission. Hey, you're doing a great job, and we'll, you know, it's okay. You've gotten this far, Timmy. Don't cut any fingers off at recess. And when you get home, you can finish up your Thanksgiving turkey hand drawing thing. So I think addressing all of those is important. And I, honest to God, never thought about, you know, hey, have you been able to get it done? What are the results you're getting? Are you seeing value here? Is this useful? That kind of a thing. And I think that's critical at this stage. So cool. We can build that in. That was great.
All right, so last thing, let's try to parallel this to the extraction. Now we're getting home. How are we getting all home safely? I guess the final stage, if we were to parallel this, you know, as a final presentation feedback loop, would be just what was the total, what was the actual mission of you doing a 2-hour challenge? And did we achieve that goal? And what was our call to action for everybody on the back end? You know, did we actually have one? I wasn't on the end of the show. I had to leave early.
I noticed.
I had to leave early, so I wasn't on the end of the show. What was that actual final process that you wanted to just have people be able to accomplish?
So let me paraphrase something that you just said, or kind of, this is what I heard of what you just said.
Yes.
How did it go compared to the mission objectives? How did it go? How did it turn out?
Yes.
Well, I'd like to let Nancy go first. How do you think it, and the reason I'm doing that is because, dude, I, again, never have really, you know.
Well, that's not true. We did have an original goal. Our original goal when we talked about these challenges, whether they be 3 hours or 2 hours, is for someone to leave with something completed.
Exactly. No, I wasn't talking about the first thing. I was talking about evaluating this at the end. So the mission, that's great. Thanks for bringing that up. So the original mission was for someone to leave with at least one Avatar Junior done or refined. So if they already had one, they were going to refine it, dial it in, or if they didn't have one, they were going to have one done. That was the mission objective. But we didn't build anything into it to ask anybody of, hey, did you do that?
No.
We didn't do that. Susan?
Basically the same thing what Nancy said. I mean, now we know for next time. We know where we need to add some strength to it, and Now, is
So-
this something where you invite someone, if they say they've got it done, we invite them to share it?
Ooh, that would
Or
be
social
fun.
proof to post
Yeah.
something that they've created with their completed avatar in the group. Or
There you go. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay,
How are
say
we?
that.
Yeah. How are we challenging them? Just like we, you had, if you compare this mission to the mission of your teaching people to publish a book, right? You had a whole bunch of final products that people were very proud to share.
Okay, so what I'm writing here is post your avatar in the group, and this is different stuff. Jump on and share at the end of the live. We just like we do on a workshop, we could throw the link in there. Anybody who wants to jump on and give a testimony or share takeaways and stuff. That would do a couple of things. One would give social proof that it worked. Number two, could give us potential video that we could use in our future marketing efforts. Hey,
Hey, yep.
what would be some other social proof of working type stuff? What else could we do? I heard Susan say something, or what did I catch one of your thoughts, or what else were you saying, Susan?
I think if you said about the having somebody, if they say they've done it, having them jump on, yeah, I think you got that.
Okay.
Another thing that you could do is using their new avatar to create social posts and screenshotting their post with engagement as proof in the group.
Create
Good. And
create
definitely
stuff with
comment,
the avatar.
right, or positive comments they received from others' responses with it.
Yeah.
I mean, we did ask people for testimonials, and they did share
Yeah.
some of those, and we got 2 in the group this morning.
I was going to say, yeah, they're posting on Facebook about it too for the folks that weren't able to join us live.
And that's a great example of ask and ye shall receive. If ye are, hey, that's I'm making up my own book of James. Ask and ye shall receive if ye are providing value with a pure heart and no curse words. So what else? Anyway, this is good.
To add a little bit for your mission too was, could you do a 2-hour challenge? That was part of your mission too. Could it be done and still people get value versus carrying it over multiple days? So that was one of your missions too.
Thank you for bringing that up.
And I think that we proved that, in 2 hours, and even on the first run, but once we have it a little bit more structured and organized, I think you can get even more done in those 2 hours.
I think that's great. And Dexter, I appreciate that, because that really was the number one mission of this whole thing. When I talk to all of you individually, I'm like, yeah, we're going to do this. It's going to be amazing. We're going to, that initial 30 seconds of the phone call of when I call you with a new idea. But then that was like the biggest thing was, could we actually do it in 2 hours? That you're right. That you're absolutely right, Dex. That was the number one thing is, could we do it, have people get value, have people feel served, and run through it and figure it out. And look at us like grown-ups. I mean, this is amazing, like real adults. Now, between the 5 of us, I think we have over 200 years of experience. So, I mean, at some point, we're grown-ups doing grown-up stuff. And we did it. So now we're just going to learn how to do it better and better and better and better and really get this down until finally we do a whole gym boat just about how to do 2 and 3 hour challenges. And we have 500 people show up, and it's amazing.
I'm all about the gym boat challenge.
The gym boat challenge boat. Yep. There you go. So awesome. Well, Stu, you started us off. I'd like you to finish us up.
Yes.
With this whole thing.
Yeah, as far as the actual event is concerned, I think we have nailed it from top to bottom, right? As far as like procedures, contingencies, how we rolled, how we communicated. I think all of those are, we had good points that we've learned from. So I think all in all, this was a big success. But, some people ask, like, what is this for? I think I read in one of the comments section, or who is this for? And it really, this idea of post, challenge discussion. I mean, you can apply this to anything, right? You can apply it to a business trip. You can apply it to a presentation. You can apply it to, anything that you put in a significant amount of time doing and then finishing. And then, could you do it better? I mean, I think that's really all we're trying to do is just ask ourselves, can we do this better and more efficiently? And are the people that are listening learning what we wanted them to learn? And I think if we can, grow from all of those things, I think then this is why we do these post-op discussions.
Nah, I think this was tremendous. I can't, I couldn't add anything other than to say, if you're not a member of CopyandContent.AI, you should be, because we are doing things that nobody else in the entire world is doing. We are doing stuff with AI that nobody is doing, and are making it super easy for you to get amazing results, communicate, and serve your ideal customer avatar. And we are not going to stop. That is our purpose. Our mission is to help entrepreneurial professionals just like you get more leads, make more sales, and build stronger, more profitable relationships with the people you are called to serve, using our AI genies, wizards, training, and more. So on that note, go join CopyandContent.AI. Get ready for the next iteration of the 2-hour avatar challenge coming next Tuesday, and we'll see you all soon. Have a great day, and thank you, team. Great job.